Hi, and welcome to another episode of Nursing Your Way to Wealth, where a mental health nurse and an accountant talk about wealth creation, personal development, and financial independence in the UK to help you live the life you deserve. And welcome back. This is episode 38. Alex and I have had a bit of an issue with last week's episode. We ended up having to record it twice. So we've attempted this or that episode, which we've now called Spend or Save twice. So sorry if you've seen any kind of double uploads of that. That's we had a tech issue, which is actually the first tech issue we've had in now 37 episodes. So yeah, we'll count our lucky stars on that one. At the end of that last episode, I mentioned about reading a new book on money and money psychology that was quite captivating for me. I promised I would finish it in the week. I have not done that. I've read probably now about 75% of it, something like that. But the book itself is called Money on Your Mind, The Psychology Behind Your Financial Habits. And it's by an author called Vicky Reynal. It's released 2024, I think June or July, August, something like that. It's pretty new, and it's 100% my bag. Everything she's talking just really captivates me. So her main message is here about digging into why we make the monetary decisions we are making, and adding some flavor as to, well, this is why you spend so much on this particular thing, or this is why you struggle with spending. This is how you feel about money and having money or not having money. And it's a real deep dive, and it's made me think a lot about my own lessons I've learned from my kind of upbringing and how I've got to where I am today. So, a brief kind of chat about that. And then Alex and I thought we would just think about ourselves introspectively, and we'll try and piece a bit of that together from our own lives. But Alex, have you read the book by Vicky Reynal, or is it on your list?
Yeah, I've not read it, and it sounds fascinating. So it's definitely on the list. I mean, I'm not a trained. I have no like psychology training, or I've never done anything into that. But I just find that type of thing fascinating. I mean, I did read The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, which was good. But I think I'm really keen to learn more about what is it in your psychology, maybe in your upbringing, that then causes you to behave the way you do as an adult. And I guess imagine a lot of it is completely subconscious and just things that you've absorbed from people around you, almost unknowingly, which then play out in your kind of adulthood. I don't know if that's how it works.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much right. I mean, I'm also not a psychologist here at all. I'm just a nurse who likes brains. But my my understanding of it is we absorb an awful lot subconsciously. I know we've talked before about communication and how very little of it is verbal. A lot of it's body language, and the rest is kind of gleaned from other social interactions. So, have you ever, Alex, heard of a term called your Johari window or not?
No, it sounds
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, so it's should have done some research, but it's basically a window into your mind and your subconscious, and there are four panes to it. So the idea here is there's the conscious part and the subconscious part, and it's the part of your brain that's fully in your awareness is one, say it's the top left corner of the window, and then there's the next part to the right of that is around um, how you learn things, and then I forget the third part. I should have looked it up, and I might do when you talk in a minute. But there's a black portion of this window, which is what's stored in your subconscious that you don't have free access to. That's what happens when we dream at night, and we experience REM sleep. And if you've ever watched someone sleep in a non-creepy way, their eyelids flutter up and down like really quickly. That is rapid eye movement or REM sleep. And what's happening here is your short-term memory becomes long-term memory through processing at night, and it's like your brain's doing a backup of itself during your sleeping hours, and it can kind of help move things from your subconscious to your conscious and back and forth, which is why a lot of the time people say just sleep on problems, and in the morning you'll have a clearer, fresher picture of it. And it is kind of moving those things around, which is why people realize stuff way later in life, whether they have kind of therapy or not. just because your brain is an ever evolving thing. I mean, it stops growing or getting bigger by the time you hit about 25. So everything from birth to 25 is pure brain development.
Ah, okay. That sounds really yeah, that's fascinating. Johari window. I'm gonna read into that. I think that's fascinating. But I know what you mean about sleep and sleeping on problems because I've had that before where almost in the daytime you're just really struggling. You can't seem to make any kind of heads or tails about a problem, maybe that at work or even in life. But then maybe after a couple of nights sleep, it suddenly the answer looks so clear. So I've definitely experienced that kind of thing before. So yeah, no, that's definitely definitely another more on my more on the reading list.
Your to-do list, right? It is, yeah. So I kind of butchered those windows. So I've just had a quick look at the Wikipedia page for the Johari window. So the four corners, the top left is the stuff that you know to yourself, that you know to be true. Um, the right hand side of that is the stuff you don't know about yourself. The bottom left is not known by other people. So how I view you, Alex, for example, will be different to how you see you. So it's the unknown opinions and thoughts of someone else. And then the bottom right hand corner is just total unknowns that we just can't access at this point. And I think these things are fluid as we learn and we engage in kind of conversation, relationships socially with people, um, and as you go, those panes of glass in this window kind of analogy start to become a bit clearer. And the way Vicky explains it in her book is a therapist, and in her case, she's like a psychologist, a financial therapist, can help you can help the stuff in the unknown part of your Johari window, the bottom right hand corner here. She can help move those into the known section of your mind. So you realize things and you connect dots. And if anyone's ever had therapy, it's there's no just one size fits all answer. It's figuring out what makes you tick as a person, uncovering stuff that you didn't even have access to at the time through talking therapy and through conversation allows you to connect these dots together that without that unbiased third person or other person, I was thinking about kind of family therapy at that point when I said third person, but between someone, person A, and their therapist, person B, you can help unlock those things in the mind and it can help alleviate tension, stress, anxiety, certain depression episodes, stuff like that, because it becomes into your conscious at this point. And it's one of the key facets of that she talks about through the book.
God, wow, that is yeah, fascinating. I definitely need to. It's definitely on my list to read.
Yeah, it's a lot for 7 p.m., isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, do you? I guess from I guess you're never going to know what you don't know in the subconscious, like the unknown part of your Johari window. But do you do you have like recollections of things when you were growing up, perhaps that maybe led to certain behaviors now? Do you have any like big events even, or how you were brought up that you think is leading to the way that you are now with your money?
I do. I think so. Like in this last week, I've really thought um, about kind of how I am with money now. Some people would say I manage it quite well. Some people have no idea. Some people think I take too much risk. Other people think that I don't take enough risk. And I think when we talk about money, we talk about risk taking behavior, not as in risk to a person, but risk with a like the pot of cash that you have and where
Mm.
you put it. Um, so the way I think about it now, I've changed my opinion on money totally in the last 5 6 years. Now that I'm 36, I started learning this stuff 29, 30. The version of me in my 20s is so different to the version of me in my 30s. Like if you told 25-year-old me that 35-year-old me would be doing all these things and be kind of running your own podcast and you'd have much more money than you ever thought was possible for you, I'd be like, that's not me. Those things happen to other people. I can't see any path that I get from 25-year-old me to 35-year-old me. And the only difference in that that time frame is the education that I've had, that I've learned and I've
Mm,
read, and it's changed how I think to better inform my opinions. And I'm very careful to read, or try as best as I can to read both sides of an argument. So if
yeah,
someone's like, obviously we proponents of index investing, the kind of invest every month and chill, get on with life. But if someone's dead against that and they're 100% on active stock investing or like picking, I would read a bit about that, and I'd read, why do you think that, as opposed to what I think. Am I missing something here? Do they have an ability that I don't have, or etc. And it's kind of trying to get a full picture of that window, because if I only read what I know is that I know and I believe to be true, my own head just becomes an echo chamber, and I don't think critically about what I'm reading. So I really make an effort to to read around the whole subject. But I feel like when I was brought up, like there's a lot of stories about you learning all your money lessons by the time you're 7 years old.
yes.
And I haven't read the original paper. I'm not 100% on it. The lady in the book, Vicky, says it should be a bit later than seven. I think she says nine or something in the book, or it's just an ongoing thing. I think her opinion is that it's an arbitrary figure.
Mm.
But around seven, I was just a kid. Like I had a 3-year-old brother, 4-year-old brother at that point. My parents lived together. We had a little house in the country, and I didn't worry about anything at all. None of my parents didn't worry about money or anything like that. They were quite fortunate, and they worked very hard. Um, and then I remember things changed, and I started kind of worrying more about it. I could sense some uneasiness around things, and especially around money, especially when I would go to like supermarket with my mum. She'd get a little bit like apprehensive when it comes time to pay. She would say to the cashier, "Well, I hope there's enough in there." And I don't know whether she means that as a joke or not. But I would internalize that. And I used to believe, this is going to sound weird, but the 16-digit card numbers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this was back in the days of put your card in, put your PIN number in. There's no contactless at this point. We're talking 25, 24, 25 years ago now. I used to think that because that number was so long, that was how much money you had in the account. And
Oh
whenever
yeah.
you put your card into the machine, it would re-stamp the last couple of digits worth of numbers. And I
Ah.
was like, "Mum, why are you worrying? Like, you've got loads of
You
money in
got,
here. Look at all these numbers."
you got three
And she
commas
was
in your in
right.
your
And she
net
was
worth.
like, "Yeah, it doesn't work like that." And then we left. And I always hold that. That's an old kind of memory that I had. And I started to realize, I think, from that point on, that actually maybe it's not the way I saw it.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, because I guess similarly to you, I never felt that there was real like money issues in the house. We grew up in a very like we weren't I wouldn't say we weren't well off. We probably weren't really comfortable till maybe a bit later on, kind of when I was a teenager. But we certainly always seemed to have money. It seemed to be a very conscious, similar when you say the supermarket, it was similar for us. Like we always used to just get the basics range. It would be like a treat if there was ever branded goods. Um, and it, so that it kind of sticks out. But I never heard an argument about money. I think my parents grew up, even like their families, like my dad was the son of a miner in Barnsley, and my mum, I actually know what her parents did. I think her dad was also a miner. So it was always kind of very, working class backgrounds, kind of hand to mouth existence. So I think they took it that when they were growing up and that were raising children, probably just very cautious with their money, and they continue to be now. Um, but I never heard like arguments said or anything. I guess they would just their lifestyle was fairly frugal anyway, so they would just make do, and but it was never a big issue. So I was never too conscious of it. And my parents used to run a little tuck shop in the kitchen, and I guess equating having to have like almost saving up to afford something. They did that for me and my sister. So similar to you, my sister's 3 years younger than I am, and I was similar, maybe like 7, 8, 9 years old, type that kind of range. They used to like run this tuck shop every one day on the weekend, and they would go and buy. sweets and chocolate, and we would get a very small allowance. But then because they do jobs to then earn a bit of money, and then you'd be able to, and this would be like we're talking like 10p and 5p type things. Um, but that was almost the behavior of if you then want something more expensive in the tuck shop, you've either then got to wait kind of for the following week and save your money now, so then you can get the bigger thing, or like you can do jobs in between to then earn a bit more to then be able to afford. So that's kind of one thing, and I think that was a valuable lesson in almost equating if you don't have the money, don't buy it, which I think is still very much my attitude. There wasn't, oh, don't worry, we'll lend you the money and you pay us back over the next few months. Um, so that was really that's something that really sticks out in my mind. But yeah, when you mentioned about the shopping, that was yeah brought that yeah. We just said we always used to have there was the big shop which used to come on when it was payday, and then if there was any offers on branded goods, that used to be a yeah a cause for celebration sometimes.
Yeah, you can only buy branded goods when it's on offer. I remember that as well. I do remember that. I mean, I never got any pocket money, not that I recall anyway. My brother and I, we didn't really ask particularly for things. We had the things we needed for sure. And when I look back on it, I had a very um, it was comfortable. I would use. Well, I did many things that normal kids kind of don't get to do, and I don't underestimate the amount of kind of privilege I would have had at that point. And there was a kind of a tipping point at this point, some point through my childhood, as probably 9, 10, something like that, where my mum and dad got divorced. They lived separately, and then that was a real catalyst for certainly a lot of worry from my mum around the kind of that supermarket thing. So I kind of seen it from both sides, but there was never, to my knowledge, they never borrowed for anything. They would always save up and have it, and they would spend money if they had money. They were both self-employed. They worked in kind of TV, audio, visual type stuff, and they run their own business. So if you don't turn up for work and you don't make sales or you don't provide good customer service, you don't get paid. And I remember my dad working minimum, he would work 6 days a week, and my mum would do the books on our dining room table, covered in numbers, bashing away on a huge calculator. And that was what I knew of as work. Um, and I think, I don't know what lessons I particularly learned from that. I think to be careful with what I had originally, not to take any risk. And I remember being given money for like birthdays and stuff. And my mum and dad, they always bought my brother and I like a money box, like a metal thing with a lid that you can lift off. And they would say whenever they gave us any money or we got any money in a birthday card or something, they'd be like, right, go and put it in your money box. And I would, and I wouldn't really spend it, to be honest. I would spend it rarely on things. Um, and my mum used to say, like, if I wanted a particular thing, she would say, go and have a look in your money box. What do you have? Do you have enough there? And if I didn't, it would be like, do some chores to get the extra money. And in certain cases, she would just get us whatever we'd need, or we'd wait and get it for a birthday or Christmas or something like that. But I don't remember my mum and dad talking about money particularly at all. I think it was a very taboo type topic, and I still think they hold that mindset of let's not talk about it because it's a bit crass, as well. But did your parents talk about money or no?
Not really. I mean, it, they talk a bit more about it now. And but yeah, when I was growing up, I really can't remember. And it sounds similar. Like if we wanted, I never felt lacking that I didn't have things, but often I would have to then wait. Either if I couldn't afford it myself, then it would go Christmas or birthday to buy something. But I was never too big on having like the latest of everything anyway, which I think helped. Like I had friends certainly like when it was like the PlayStation 2, Xbox, all that stuff came out. I had friends at school who like all of them get the latest game, all of them get the latest console, but I never really was that bothered by that. So I think that maybe helped. So I just yeah, it never. But they kind of would just talk about money in similar ways, just like, oh, you have to wait, or it wasn't like, yes, we'll go and get it now. There's thing. It's interesting you mentioned about your parents both being self-employed because my parents were they both were nurses, or well, my mum still is one. My dad is now retired, but they were almost they had that their jobs and they were secure, and they would always have a paycheck working for the NHS. They're gonna have a good pension, and it was that security I think was paramount for them. I'm curious to learn a bit more about your upbringing with regards to, I guess, attitude towards business. Because if you had, I guess, two parents who were both self-employed, were they more encouraging of their kids to maybe start up on their own or do their own business? I know that I know my parents are from a super safe, you know, jobs in the NHS for life, have a house and cash savings, and basically anything outside of that is deadly and so risky. But yeah, I'd be keen to learn a bit more about your upbringing with regards to that.
Yeah, I think I was a bit more. They were a bit more encouraging of like entrepreneurial stuff. I mean, I or we, when I was a kid, up until I was 22 when I moved out, but we lived in the middle of nowhere, like countryside, half an hour drive to get to the local town. Um, the most advanced thing the village had that I lived in was an old phone box that didn't work, and there was just kind of nothing around. So the idea around making extra money was really doing things in the house, in the garden. I briefly had an idea of offering like our neighbours and stuff, oh, we'd wash cars and things for some extra cash, but there was never any kind of set your own business up, do this, do that, try that. I remember my dad once said to me, he's self-employed, he used to sell TVs, hi-fis, stuff like that. He said to me once, because I studied computing at college, he was like, write me a stock program to track all my stock intake and outtake for my business. And if it works, I'll pay you for it. And I was like, you want me to do what with my Saturday? And when I was just like, actually, I'd rather do anything else than sit and write you a database, to be honest, even if it was in my ability to do. Um, and not only that, I don't want to write it, give it to you, and then for whatever reason it doesn't work. And then you're going to be like, well, it doesn't work now. This has caused a problem. So there was a little bit of that, but also I think I turned it into quite a lot of anxiety at that point. I think I was, what was I, 18 or 19, 17, something like that. No, I definitely wasn't driving, so I was probably 17 at the time. But yeah, no, didn't do kind of any of that particularly. It's kind of early days of the internet as well, where you can just about order stuff and have it delivered in 3 to 8 business days. And it didn't really take off for kind of entrepreneurship, I don't think, unless you're really kind of in like a niche area. But no, my kind of learning around that was money something to keep and only spend when you have to. Be kind of safe, store it in your money box, etc. Um, I did speak to them about doing things with that because I when I got my car um, and I was working at a carpet factory, like a warehouse. I wasn't. I was earning kind of. I think I had £800 a month for working full time, and I didn't have many bills. I gave my mum a token amount of money, which is really not a lot at all, like less than £100 a month of my £800. So over the 18 months or so, I had some money stacked up, and I was like, at one point, I asked my dad. I was like, what do I do with this? Like, what can I do with it? And he was like, just keep it for later. And I think if I'd known about investing at that point, if I had bought, say, an index fund when I was
Yeah.
19 or whatever, I'd be
Oh
far
yeah,
richer
yeah.
now. So it's incredible. Would have made a humongous difference to me. I might actually go and look up what the share price was in 20 when
Oh,
I was
don't
19.
torture
It would
yourself.
have been awful, wouldn't it? Like this was
Yeah.
back in 2000 and actually 2006, 2007, right before a property thing.
Oh, so it would have crashed
Yeah,
in 2008,
so I
2009, but
wonder
then
if I
recovered.
did put a lump in at
So,
that point and then it crashed, is my outlook on the markets different?
mm,
Maybe,
I'm assuming your parents didn't invest at all based on that advice from your dad.
I don't think so, at least not openly to my knowledge. They would
Mm,
invest in their own business, but it's kind
yes,
of
yeah, yeah.
an asset class of one and you're backing yourself to continue to grow that.
Mm,
But I don't think they would consider investing in other companies. I might ask them, but I do remember them having some shares for a particular company actually, and them getting some dividends somewhere. But certainly it wasn't. It was kind of about 30 quid a month, something like that. And I remember after they split, one of them had to write the other one a check for like 12 or 15 pounds a month, something like that. But it was never openly discussed. We would just get letters. They would write those things. They would say like, give this to the other one. Um, Never openly talked about it to me or my brother at all. It's very much like I've basically learned most of what I know now, or what most of what we talk about myself, um, ongoing. It certainly wasn't something we discussed. It would be considered crass and a little bit not rude, but just something that you don't talk about, especially when there's other people around.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, similar. I mean, my parents never they never invested, nor have. I mean, they had a financial advisor once come around to the house and then put them into a Japanese fund. I don't know anything about apart from it was just in Japan. That's all I hear from my mum, and it just said that we put the money in. It basically just was treading water for 5 years, and then they just took the money out and then put it in cash. But you look back and you think, wow, so of all of your assets, you had just Japanese shares. It's a very peculiar allocation to have. But that was the only thing I remember almost in like childhood of them having any investments. And they did that. I think almost see it as getting their fingers burnt, and well, I may as well just earn 2 or 3% in an ISA for cash. So they did that. Um, and then on like when my I think it was when Saga and Royal Mail became listed, um, my dad bought some shares in Royal Mail and Saga. But I mean maybe £500 in each company. But other than that, I'm unaware of anything. And I think for them it's been houses. They've earned a lot of money through houses in terms of just appreciation of their residential properties over time. They've always done up houses, so they've bought houses and then um, refurbished them, and yeah, just had cash. So that's basically been their environment. And I think anything outside of that, they're not really readers. They're not really interested in it. I've always been interested in money myself. Like when I was 16, I got an award from school for something, I can't remember what, and you could choose a book from like W.H. Smith's or whatever as an award, and then it got presented, and my book was How to Become a Millionaire, and everyone else would all have like the Harry Potters or something like that. So I thought it was quite a bold statement.
Yeah.
Um,
It is a bold statement. Everyone else is picking like the second or third Harry Potter
yeah,
book, and you're like, no, how to be a
yeah,
millionaire at 16.
yeah. So that was yeah, that was what I read. Um, and yeah, my mum always used to be, oh, do you not want to read like the fiction books? And even then, my attitude was always, well, if I'm going to learn, if I'm going to spend my time doing something, I want it to be valuable to me. So
That's incredible.
yeah,
No, I don't want to read about Harry Potter. I want to read about the stock market.
yeah, uh,
I want to read about numbers.
exactly. So that's always, and I've always been, yeah, I've always been the reader. I'm a very quite introspective person anyway, and I think I've always just preferred to read and stuff. Whereas, as I've looked on the other hand of my sister, she's very much more outgoing and is really almost struggled to I say struggled with money. She's in a good position now, but has always been the spender. Like it just comes in the account and it's gone. Whereas my parents are just even now, if they still give me some money for Christmas, which they don't need to do. But I always get this message of, "Oh, we've sent you some money. Please don't invest it." Like because
Really?
yeah, they're like, "Oh, just yeah," because I do not need anything, and I tell them I don't need anything, and then literally as soon as it's yeah, they'll send me it's like yeah, it's got invested, and they do the same with Amelia if they send her some Christmas money.
Oh, that's
They'll be like,
hilarious.
Amelia, don't get Alex to tell you to invest
That's
it.
that's really interesting.
Yeah,
So like your mum and dad
yeah,
super cautious, super risk averse, and then they've got you who's learnt your own path and kind of learnt the process around that, and then your sister who's the opposite of you. So it's kind of one way and one the other way. And then
yeah,
I find it very funny that they send you money even though you clearly don't need it at this point. But I mean, my parents still send me money, and I'm like, Mum, Dad, I don't need these things. Like, if you
Yeah,
must buy me something, can it be coffee beans? And they're like, oh, all right. But they'll also sometimes send me money, and I'm just like, I'm 36. Like, I needed this when I was
yeah,
16. No, I don't need
yeah,
it
yeah.
now.
That's it.
Um,
Help me pay my car insurance or something when I'm 18,
Yeah,
not
exactly, exactly.
yeah,
And
not
like,
right now.
give it all to me back then, right? But they don't ever tell me what to do with it. Like my dad, sometimes he knows of my ways that kind of saving and investing. My siblings are not like me at all. My sister's they're really not, and my brother's less so. He's he has spoken to me more about investing. Um, Recently in the last kind of couple of years. But my dad will be like, actually, I don't want you to save it. I want you to do something with it and just let me know what you do with it. So sometimes I go out for dinner with my wife, or I'll take a couple of friends out for dinner and be like, look, it doesn't matter. I'll get it because my dad sent me some cash. Like, here's the proof of it. Don't feel weird. He would want me to do something with that. I do live quite far away from them as well, so they can't just nip round and do things. So that's they kind of show some love that way by putting a kind of a pound amount to it. But yeah, I find it very funny that they tell you not to invest it. Do they want you to spend it on something
Yeah,
fun, or do they still just have this massive mistrust of the markets?
I think it's more just about just go and spend it. But both and we buy the things that we need on a day-to-day basis. There's nothing else really that we that we need at all,
No.
and it's all very nice. And it's like if things it's like if you have to buy me something, it's like, oh, like buy me like razor blades or like consumables, like things,
Yeah.
or like I always ask for like fancy like chopped tomatoes or some nice pasta.
Yeah.
It's like it sounds really weird, but just do that because I'm gonna buy that anyway. If you want to buy me something, just buy me something you're gonna need. Um, but yeah, it's really odd. I always just get this like, oh, like don't invest it.
Yeah, do something else with it. Like
Yeah,
I sometimes I like my wife and I we don't need anything right now. Like we're comfortable. We do if we want something or we need it, we'll buy it. So sometimes I ask my mum or my dad or my brother or whatever when they say like I feel obliged to get you something for Christmas. Firstly, I'm like, please don't, right? Spend the money on yourself.
yeah,
If you must get me something, get me like some fancy shower gel or something, or
yeah.
buy me um like I asked my dad once to buy me some pizza flour from an Italian
Oh yeah.
import company, and he was like, "No, that's weird, but I'll give you the money for it so you can do it." And it's just something like that. I'll just like buy these staples for things, or I'll ask them for something that I can keep that won't go anywhere. So like a tool or something, or some form of I don't know, garden equipment or something. Because I don't want something because they think I want it. Like ask me what I would like, and then I'll just pick something. Like but the last time my dad asked me that, I asked him for a coffee kind of gadget for my espresso machine, and he was like, "No, I think you already have one of those. I'll buy you some beans instead." And I was like, all right, thanks very much. This is lovely, but I'll just buy the thing that I asked you for anyway. And I just found it a bit weird that way that he's
Mm,
happy to buy beans but not the other thing. Um,
yeah.
I think it's just a way of them showing kind of love, I guess, or it's
Yeah, I think
how
so.
they communicate with things. Certainly, in my
Yeah.
upbringing, money was a way of showing um, that they're proud or they're happy or anything like that. It's
Yeah, that's true actually. And I think I've always remember our Christmases being like things was my parents would save up a lot for Christmas
so
and then you would get lots of gifts and it would be very special. But I think there's a almost an over-indexing on that. It's almost like it's odd when you now don't have material possessions or you don't want them. I think it's
yeah.
probably worth doing an episode on itself on gifting, especially as we're coming up to the Christmas period, which I think you get like Halloween comes up, and then is it Black Friday, Cyber Monday, uh, the Thanksgiving if you're in the US,
Mm. It's all very
Christmas,
gift centric,
like
isn't it?
like 3 months of crazy gifting. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that would be. I think that's a good idea. Let's cover that next time.
yeah,
At at Christmas, can we do a bit of a social experiment? And you ask your mum and dad for an amount of money to invest, and we get your partner to ask them for like a voucher for a restaurant that you guys like, and we'll see who gets the most.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like it's going to be her, not you.
Yeah, I oh, definitely. She
You'll
gets more than
get
me anyway.
you'll get £2.50, and she'll get 50
Yeah,
quid to go to a restaurant because it just shows you what
yeah,
they value.
yeah, yeah, true. And it is funny, but on the back to the like on the psychology point, it
Mm,
is like they just see because essentially any money, any spare money I have basically goes towards investing, and that's not to like the detriment of my lifestyle at all. I have a very enjoyable lifestyle, um, but it's just it's probably just very different to what other people would expect somebody to be, in our position to be living. But it's almost, yeah, yeah, it's just so odd in that it's like, oh, do I stop investing? Don't do it. They don't see any rationale behind it or why you might want to have a portfolio that could support you without having to work. And I
mm,
sometimes like tell my parents that now it's like, look, we're probably not far off not having to work for money. Like
yeah,
we'll probably still work, but we'll have a portfolio between me and Amelia to support our lifestyle and a paid off house. Like within, depending on what that house looks like and what the lifestyle is, anywhere probably from 5, 6 to 10 years time.
yeah.
If you and
Is
it's
that is that an alien concept to them?
oh
Is it that
mad,
you
absolutely.
have to work, otherwise you're some kind of criminal, or you're just kind of you've won the lottery and not told us or something?
They just don't really see. They don't. They've never asked a follow-up question on it ever.
Mm,
It's just almost, but you retire at 68 or 69, whenever the pension
because
age
that's
is.
when you're told to retire.
And it's very much like that. It's almost like, no, you can retire when you've got enough money. Like,
Yeah, you can bring that date forward, you know. You can be
it's
30 and have
yeah,
enough money, you can be
yeah,
60 and have enough money, or anything in between.
yeah,
I wonder when you get there, and they're going to be like, I don't know, you're going to be in your 40s, maybe mid 40s, something like
yeah,
that, early 40s. They might not realize you're actually telling the truth. They might think it's just kind of something weird that you say and do, and you're
yeah,
like, actually, I'm done now.
yeah. That's
You
it.
know, like,
It's like,
do you want to go fishing on a Thursday? And they're like, what do you mean you're not working? I'm like, no.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like,
Maybe
oh,
it's a
you've got a
show
lot of
by
time
doing
off.
it. Give them
Yeah,
the evidence. Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
that's it. It almost sounds a bit kooky to people who like, and my parents have played by the rules all their life and have done well from it. But
Mm.
yeah, it's a bit bonkers when you're like, yeah, so I don't, we're going to be in that position, fairly soon that it's going to be an option. Like we don't have to do it. And I think that's
No,
just
but it
mind
gives you the
blowing.
choice.
Exactly.
It gives you the choice. A lot of people work jobs they don't like because they feel they must.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like they don't see the link of investing to that. It's almost just this like, "Nope, investing it's risky. We tried that once. We had a
Yeah.
Japanese index fund for 5 years or whatever it was,
And it was
and
rubbish.
it didn't do anything. So we just like cash ISAs. Um,
Yeah, and it's safe. And I think a lot of people from that generation are similar to it. But the way I think about it in my mind is my wife and I, we invest money every month in order at some point to bring a third salary into our house.
yeah,
So
yeah,
for our money to earn us enough money. So at some point, I'm hoping that our investment portfolio earns more than we do.
yeah,
Um, and at that point, it'll happen at some point. It's just a timing thing here.
exactly. And I think that's a really nice way of looking at it. It's almost like you get a bit of a helping hand through through this
Mm,
almost box that is working for you in the background. And
yeah. And initially, at the beginning, you do all the heavy lifting, like in your
yes,
contributions, you put as much money in as you can, and eventually, it's like the snowball that you tip it from the top of the mountain, and when you get to the bottom, it's massive and it's crushing things and it's unstoppable.
yeah,
When it gets to that point, over time, it will spit off more money than you need,
yeah,
and then you're free to do literally whatever you like with it. You can either upgrade your lifestyle or you can give to places and people, and you can do so much with it. And I think it's such a big concept to initially grasp that it just seems a bit overwhelming for people, and they're like that. That's so out of my comfort zone to think about that it's easier for me to just not think about it, so therefore I won't.
yeah. I think that's a really good point. It's almost so alien as well and so overwhelming,
Mm,
and it requires a lot of it does require a bit of reading and a bit of diligence and maybe some lifestyle. shift that you're probably not comfortable
Definitely.
with. But and then almost all of that, it just becomes this, right, that's just in the too hard pile, and I'm just not going to bother, and I'll just continue
Yeah, exactly.
doing. And yeah, but exactly, I think time is the key to it all. It's about, you can only invest so much, and you've just got to be patient and let it run. And it does start to,
Mm,
yeah, like you start getting dividends in, and it's like, oh wow, that's quite a lot actually, or like, and it starts to grow, and it's like, wow, it's gone up quite a lot of money this year, and
yeah.
it's, yeah, a nice feeling knowing that you've got this thing in the background. Yeah, basically,
It's constantly churning away, isn't it? It's
yeah,
constantly earning you money
yeah,
as you go, and it just becomes a self-fulfilling thing. Like eventually, it will just spit off more money than you need, and by that point, you're more than done. And I think it's hard to think about because humans, like we are very good at thinking about now and maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. If you imagine yourself when like you're what 35, 36 now, try and imagine yourself being 66. I have no idea what I look like, no idea where I'm living, no idea what I'm doing in life because it's so far away to me that
mm,
actually like I really struggle to grasp that my life will be totally different yet I'll still be the same. um, but that is actually it's 30 years away, which is less time than I've been alive so far. So it's closer than I think, but it's hard to perceive. And I think that's why a topic as such as big as this is difficult to comprehend. If you're just chucking it all in one go, it's like passing someone a humongous book and be like, read this in 10 minutes. It's just never going to happen. But you have to kind of do little bits of it now and again to build the full picture.
yeah, absolutely. And I hope that's where like this podcast comes in help, comes in hand, in that we're able to distill some of these issues down and have a nice open debate, and without the need, we make it easier for people to digest all of this stuff, because there is so much. And on your point of thinking really far ahead, like it is so difficult to imagine yourself 30 years from now. But I've read something, it was like if you were to like put a picture of like an older person and almost imagine like on your wall or something, and it's like you almost then imagine that that's you when you're older. It makes making decisions a bit easier about the future, and about deferring some of that gratification, in that you've almost got a visualization of you in the future. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't do that myself. I kind of have a nice idea. I once saw this chap. I was on holiday in Italy, and he must have been in his 70s, in immaculate shape, amazing suntan, like big lop of like grey hair, just in a swimming pool. I thought, oh yeah, that's a nice image. That's a very healthy and successful life, you know, as like a 70-year-old. I thought, oh yeah. So I sometimes envisage that chap. I have no idea who he is, but it's like that's a good thing to aim for. But I don't have a picture of him on my wall.
Yeah, but he's left an
Yeah.
He's left. No, I was going to say he's left an impact on you. And instead of asking your mother, your parents for some money to invest, ask them for a picture of an
Yeah.
old guy in a swimsuit. They'll be like, What is
Yeah.
wrong with you?"
It's all good.
We'd be like, "It's for science, honestly, so I can think
Yeah.
about
It's all,
myself
all
when I'm
about my
old."
money psychology.
Um, yeah. Okay. I think it's probably worth leaving it there. We're coming up to 40 something
Yeah.
minutes or so. Yeah, the book is decent. I'll just text you the details of it. I'm listening to it on Audible, but obviously other platforms are available. I think it's useful. I've certainly learned a lot about myself and I've linked some stuff together, opened a bit more of that blank side of the Johari window that we discussed. Um, I think for anyone listening, it's worth a read. It's a little bit heavy in times, so at some points I wish I had a little pen and a notepad next to me so I could just jot down some thoughts as they come in. But I feel like it can only stand you in good stead to realize why you do the things you do. And certainly at some point, Alex, we might think about why we've taken this path. So we're going to get a lot of security and safety out of it. Where does that come from? What does that say about us? And kind of our upbringing and yeah, and something like that. So I think it's definitely worth doing perhaps a series on money psychology. The more we learn and the more introspective thoughts we have,
Yeah.
I think the better.
Yeah, definitely. I think the more we can understand about ourselves and why we do what we do, that you can only make better decisions from it. And it's, I think that, yeah, enlightening and, maybe reduce a bit of anxiety around your own unknowns. Um, but yeah, a fascinating, yeah, really good episode.
Yeah, agreed. Right, I think it's best we leave it there. So, any
Yep.
thoughts around money psychology for anyone listening? Do email us if you want to come on and talk about your own money psychology. You can just email Alex and I, which is nursingyourwaytowealth@gmail.com. One of us will get back to you and we'll arrange it. But for now, thank you for listening. And in the next week, just have a little think about something about perhaps why you do the things that you do. And if you're not sure about it, think a bit harder about it, question it, ask a parent if you can, ask a sibling. Just try and uncover a little bit of that jigsaw. And Alex and I will do the same. None of what we discuss on the show is to be considered financial or health advice, and we recommend you always do your own research or consult an independent financial advisor or a doctor when making your financial or health decisions.